It's a little clunky chunky here on the video as I'm doing it right now. I think I'm crazy because I've got 4 different voices in my head. Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're talking about one of my go-to teaching techniques to take kids through difficult chunks of text, and that's called reader's theater. So when they're younger in elementary school, kids are used to reader's theater because it's like a script that they're given, and they just stand up and they stand in front of the class and they read their lines as the Tale of the Three Little Pigs is presented to the class. At the high school level and the middle school level, we do a spin on that for reader's theater, which does not require us turning the pages into a script, but it does involve us treating the literature as though it were a play. So basically you're going to find a chunk of your literature that you're studying. It can either be a chunk of a novel, and I'm going to talk about what makes for a good targeting section of that, or it could be a short story, and I'm going to model that for you as well. So hang on, I'm going to switch over to the other video, and then we're going to talk about reader's theater. All right, so as the kids are walking in, I already have the name of the story and the speaking parts that I'm going to need to assign out for that day's lesson written up on the board so they can kind of see it as they come in. After you've done this a couple of times, kids will automatically start volunteering before they even know what the roles are, and I always have to slow the train down a little bit because I want to preload their knowledge base by giving the character descriptions, which is actually a reading technique to aid with comprehension for the whole class. But once it is time to go ahead and talk about the story and assign the roles, I generally take the first role myself, only in the first 9 weeks or so. The narrator tends to have to do the heavy lifting and also kind of be the director of the action a little bit, kind of keep people in the right place and coming in on their cue. And so I model that in the first 9 weeks by taking on the lion's share of that role. I want kids to hear what like the natural fluidity of language is. I want them to hear emotion and energy and performance. And my enthusiasm builds on their enthusiasm. It helps increase that. And so it becomes this nice symbiotic kind of thing. So early on, I'll do the narration. But in the second, third, and fourth quarters, I can hand that off to a really highly motivated student who kind of gets it and wants that job. And then I can just kind of sit back and enjoy the show as the year goes on. But early on, let's say this is back to school September. I'm going to go ahead and read the narrator part. And then I tell the kids, okay, so the aunt in this story is really snooty, old-fashioned, kind of prim and proper. The bachelor is on a train with this family, and he's annoyed because the kids are not kept in line by the aunt. There's Cyril, the little boy. He is sort of the spokesperson for the kids. And then I'll explain that there's an older sister, sometimes called the bigger sister, and there's a little sister in the story as well. And then I'll take volunteers, and the kids get their names up on the board. So for this demo that I'm doing on YouTube, I actually color coordinated the kids' names so that you could keep track on the copy. I wouldn't do that in real class. I would just take my green marker and just assign everybody down the line we go. But you'll see why the colors will be helpful in just a second as we go. So, all right, all the roles are assigned. We are ready to read the story. I've chosen the Storyteller for this demo on YouTube because one, it's a great story. Saki is a fun storyteller. The kids love it. It's a great tool to teach the different types of irony. And it's in the public domain, so I can't get in trouble for sharing it here with you. I have typeset it, and I'll have a copy of this one and the color-coded version over on my blog. I'll remind you again at the end as we go. But because it's public domain, I can go ahead and share it with you, which is what I wanted to do. So that's why I chose it. Okay, so the story is only 3 pages, which is delightful. What you're looking for when you are picking a slice of text to use reader theater is a page very much like this one. You want to have something that has a lot of dialogue. And so actually, let me break for a second. I have literature here to kind of model this for you. So Farewell to Manzanar is a wonderful story. This, though, is one that is really description heavy in the voice of the author herself. It's memoir. So you'll see on this page, I really would not use a reader's theater approach for this. Either I would read this chapter to my classes, I would find an audio tape version of it on YouTube or LibriVox or something like that. You can buy them on Audible, that sort of thing. So because it's just one voice, it's probably not great for that. But something like this, we're in the Outsiders here. I opened it up and you can see, hopefully you see the difference, that there's just a lot of different speaking parts and the roles are changing out. And that makes it a really successful text for reader's theater. So I chose the storyteller because there are those 6 distinctive roles if you count the narrator, and I do. All right, so this is the copy that the kids get. They just get this straightforward one like this. This color coordinated one I actually made for you guys here on YouTube so you could see how it breaks down. So just a reminder, there was the color coordination of the different speaking roles. The narrator is going to be in green. I assigned Chris will be the aunt. She has the red. Antonio is in blue. He's the bachelor. You remember all that stuff. So if you look at the first page, you can see that the narrator really is doing the heavy lifting of this story. And then very slowly the dialogue takes over. And by the end, Antonio, the bachelor, is the one telling the story. And so he's going to have to like carry the entertainment of the class. So when I'm assigning roles, I keep that in mind. Like I know ahead of time which roles are meatier than others. And I picked Antonio because he's a little bit of a ham bone. He's admired by the other students. He's charming, and he loves to perform. He's a talker. And so I know he's going to do a good job with this. And then the other roles, I would sprinkle out to students based on their interest. Generally, I have tons of volunteers, so it's not really pulling teeth. If it were, though, and I didn't have enough volunteers, then I would assign readers, but I would do so mindfully with differentiation at front of mind. So for example, let's say for the little sister role right here in the pink, that's the smallest number of lines. So let's say I had to assign and I gave it to Casey, because Casey is already interested, but she's a little bit of a reluctant reader and I want to build her confidence. I want to hear her voice in class because I haven't heard it enough, but I wanted to do it in a low stakes way. And the little sister role, as you'll see as we go on the next pages, doesn't really have that many lines. So as we're going through the story, we're switching off. Every time you see the color change, that's a different speaker. And so if we start here, I know we're right in the middle of the story, and you can go back and read the whole story if you want, but I just want you to see it and then kind of hear how it sounds. So at this point, the aunt is frustrated. The kids, they just ask a million questions. They're the why kind of kids. And the bachelor is giving her stink eye because she's not doing a good job entertaining and keeping the kids in line. So she says in red, and so my student Chris would say, "It's a very difficult thing to tell stories that children can both understand and appreciate." And then I would say, she said stiffly, so even the narration gets spoken aloud. Antonio jumps in. "Well, I don't agree with you," said the bachelor. "Well, perhaps you would like to tell him a story," was the aunt's retort. "Tell us a story," demanded the bigger of the small girls. And so each time we have kids switching off, it's a little clunky chunky here on the video as I'm doing it right now. I think I'm crazy because I've got 4 different voices in my head. But in class, in real life, it becomes this like smooth, it's just so fluid, and you kind of get in the zone with your readers, and it's gorgeous. And you can kind of like zip through the text this way. On the last page, you can see the weight of the work has transferred to Antonio for this because he's telling the ghastly, the horribly good story of Bertha, the very good girl. And so you have that example here. I just wanted to show you the color coding. All right. And then once again, I just liked this little chunk because in these few lines that start here, I have a chance for 5 or 6 of my students to speak aloud in class and be engaged in that. And that's a gorgeous thing. Don't we love that? All right, like I said, if you want the copies of my the typeset version of just the black text that I actually would use with my students, or the color-coded one for you to take a closer look at how this technique would work with your classes, by all means, go down there. The link will be live by the time I get this up. I'll make sure I make that happen and you can enjoy the story. All right, so that's Reader's Theater. I hope you give it a go. It's one of those tools that I pull out regularly because it's just fun. It helps break up the monotony of a thick novel unit if you can just have a little fun and turn a story into a play. Your only prep is going to be to read ahead, jot down the names of the speaking roles, and then just kind of keep front of mind which roles are meatier and going to require more of the students who volunteer. So that's it. I hope you're well. I'll be back next week with another teacher tip, an idea for you guys. I hope you're well and enjoying summer. See you soon. Hey, don't leave me. Click on another video, watch something, subscribe, drop me a message below, or head on over to the blog. All right, guys, have a good one. Bye.